Well, we're going to answer some of your email questions as we bring it on today. Pat, this is from Edward, who says, Dear Pat, if the 17 million Christians in America vote in this coming fall election instead of sitting home, will it help the Congress and the country?
Well, first of all, I think that they don't all sit home, but there's an extraordinary lack of sophistication among evangelicals. And you see the Christians being split in various things. They're not voting morality. They're voting Democrat or voting Republican and not voting moral issues. And if, for example, the African Americans, the Hispanics, and the evangelicals, Anglos, were all together, they could accomplish enormous good for this nation. But they are divided sometimes in their goals. So the answer is, if they all got together, would it make a difference? It would make an enormous difference. What's next? This
is Angie, who says, are we living in the last days? Do you believe this is the end? I am a Christian. However, I fear living through horrible times as depicted in Matthew 24:21.
He'll keep you from the evil days that are coming on the face of the earth. I don't know. You know, I've felt for years that we may be coming close to the end of the age. But at the same time, as far as that message, I wrote a book called The End of the Age that portrayed what might very well happen from an asteroid strike. It wouldn't take much. If Yellowstone, if Yellowstone volcano erupts, this country's over. I mean, it will literally wipe out all the vegetation and most of the animal life in this whole nation, because it's the biggest volcano, I think, in the earth. So we've got it here at home. If an asteroid hits on the Atlantic coast or the Pacific coast, the tsunami will be so enormous, it'll shake everything we've got, and it'll be terrible. There's so many things that can happen. But, you know, the Roman Empire was shaken, the Goths, the Visigoths, the Vandals, you know, the rise of Islam that swept over North Africa and the Mediterranean. I mean, we've had this kind of thing going on for centuries. Then they had the Black Plague, the bubonic plague that wiped out, I said the other day, is it half or a third of the people in Europe, or maybe more? I mean, I don't know what all the figures are, but it was a huge number of people who died. So we've had these things, and we'll have more. The question is this the end? Nobody knows the day or the hour. Jesus said, we don't know. We can see the signs of the time. And the big clock, God's clock, is not in Paris or Bonn or London or New York or Washington. It's in Jerusalem. So you see what's happening in Jerusalem will make a difference. Okay.
This is Grant, who says, where in the New Testament does it say that believers have the right of self-defense? I see a lot of, quote, turn the other cheek, love your enemies, and do good to those who hate you. It does not say unless they are ISIS. I personally think they should be destroyed, but that's me, not God. I have learned that God does not think anything like people. Can you help me with this?
God doesn't think like people. You know, I think you're onto something. We do feel that if somebody is going to kill you, that you have a right to keep him from doing it.
Defend yourself.
The Bible says resist not evil, but nevertheless, you've got that. I think if you read Romans 13, you're dealing with military, and you have to have some force to restrain evil. There has to be an army. There have to be police. Otherwise, evil will run wild. And I mean, we all want the restraint. You don't want kidnappers just going wild in your town. You don't want murderers just walking up and down Main Street shooting people. There has to be a working police force. There has to be a working army, and the United States, for example, is in the role now of making sure that some of these groups don't come out. So there's nothing in the Bible that would prevent a just war or a defense of freedom. So it's there. But in terms of individual defense about shooting ISIS people, I think you're right. It's pretty hard to find it in the Bible.
Okay, this is Lucille, Pat, who says, I have about $60,000 in a mutual funds retirement account and $16,000 in a credit union savings account. After listening to Jonathan Kahn last week, I'm concerned about the safest place for my money. Do you have any recommendations?
Lucille, I want to tell you the truth, and I might upset people. I don't think there's anything that's really safe.
Yeah.
You know, gold has gone down from $1,900 an ounce down to maybe $1,300. So people lost, and yet at the same time, if you got into gold when it was $250 an ounce or so, it went up enormously. So it's had a big run up, and it's come back down again. The stock market has gone up, and then it's come down, and it fluctuates. J.P. Morgan said the truth of the stock market is it fluctuates, and it goes up and down. So you say, what's the solid thing? I personally like master limited partnerships that deal in the transmission of oil and gas. They get their fee regardless if oil goes up or oil goes down. And you make sure some of them are well established, and those that are well funded and well established, they pay good dividends, and they keep on throwing out money regardless of the business cycle. But beyond that, I mean, the government bonds have been in the tank. That used to be the secure thing. Now they're paying less than 1% interest, so you lose money having government bonds. And you get bonds in some of these municipalities that are going bankrupt, and so what's the security there? Really, I'm telling you, it's not easy. And you can't just say what is safe. What is safe, in my opinion, the only thing that's definitely safe is if you give your money into the Lord's work, He'll look after you.
It's true.
But I can't promise anything else, all right?
Okay, this is Liz who says, I have a sister and her children who are hoarders. Everywhere they go and where they live is a mess. We've tried helping them, but it ends up back the same way as if we never did so. What do you think of hoarding? Is it a curse or just laziness?
I don't think it's either one. I think it is a psychological maladjustment. They just like any other psychological malady, it starts out as a feeling of security. I'm surrounded by my possessions, and therefore I am secure. And then all of a sudden, that rationale is lost in the fact that I've got to accumulate more of this stuff, and so all the junk is important. And the people then just go absolutely wild if you take that junk away from them. They need serious psychological help. And I don't know what else to say, but it is, to live in that environment, to be married to one of them, or to have to, but it is just like an alcoholic or a drug addict or a sex addict or any other kind of addict. It's an addiction. And it needs help. Professional help big time. And if they won't get it, I mean, you just suffer through it. All right?
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for questions.